It's time for us to set sail from South Africa and leave Table Mountain in our wake. We're heading out into the Atlantic Ocean on a 500-mile passage to Luderitz in Namibia. This passage had it all, from strong winds to drifting and everything in between. You ready?
We are Matanami. We have spent the last 6 years sailing our 37-foot sailboat Florence around the world. In that time we have crossed 3 oceans. Over 36,000 miles have passed under our keel, and we are now closing in on our goal, to complete our circumnavigation.
Before us lies the Atlantic Ocean, which we will now cross twice in order to reach the shores of England once more.
So it's a pretty stunning morning this morning. It's actually Easter Sunday 2022 and we're getting prepared to go for a little Easter sail, sailing up to Namibia.
It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes us to get back into the night watch routine. It's been a long time, at least 3 months since we did any overnight passages. It is going to be really good to be sailing again though. And I'm so excited about Namibia. It's not like anywhere that we've ever been. We are literally going to be sailing Florence to the desert.
There was no wind this morning. It's actually howling last night, and then at some point during the night the wind just completely shut off, so we went to bed a bit nervous there's going to be too much wind. And we've woken up to no wind. But we're coming to the end of our visas here in South Africa, so we do really need to go. We can't be that picky with the weather window. And we saw this weather window about a week ago. It looked like something we were keeping an eye on. And so we decided to check out, but as soon as we decided to actually check out with Customs Immigration, which we had to do 48 hours ago because it being Easter and being the port office being closed, the weather's changed. It's not quite as good. It looks like it's going to be no wind now, quite a lot of wind later this afternoon, almost too much, not quite too much, and then it looks like it's going to die off, and there's a big hole in the wind between here and Namibia, so unfortunately we might have to motor for a bit or drift around a bit, and we won't be able to hang around too much because in about a week's time that whole area gets very windy again. So we're just making the most of our last morning here in Cape Town, enjoying the views of Table Mountain and getting ready to set off.
South Africa is a stunningly beautiful country, and we're obviously going to miss views like this of Table Mountain behind us. But I think the thing that surprised us the most and that we're going to miss the most are the people of South Africa. We have been treated so well here, and I just want to say thanks to everybody that we've met for making us feel so welcome and so at home. You've really made our time here in South Africa special. Well, we're all ready to leave, but we need permission from the harbour master to leave the port, and at the moment they're moving this huge ship, so we've got to wait till that's out of the way before we can even start to get permission to go.
With the lack of wind, we were happy to wait in the hope that the breeze would fill in by the time we cleared the harbour. Okay, give it a shove and we'll go. Setting out into the Atlantic Ocean and leaving South Africa brings a mix of contrasting emotions. We are sad to be leaving because we have had such a fantastic time here. There is still so much left to see and do, and we are leaving many new friends behind. Yet we are also bubbling with excitement to be sailing Florence out into the open ocean once more. To be sailing overnight passages to new countries with new adventures and experiences ahead of us.
You can generally tell how windy a country's been with how much is left of your courtesy flag. I think this is our second South African flag, and I'm afraid there's only half of it left.
Took a lot longer for the breeze to fill in than we thought it would, so we had to motor for 3 hours in the end, which was about an hour and a half longer than we expected. And it's still quite light here. I think it might be stronger further offshore, so we're angling our course a little bit further offshore to try and pick up some more wind at the moment. But we've been able to start sailing and we've got the spinnaker up. It's just beautiful to be out sailing again. The conditions are lovely. We've got 2 boats in company with us. We've got Enchantress and Sonrisa. Sonrisa set off hour and a half, 2 hours before us, so they're about 10 miles ahead. We just had our friend Austin on Enchantress just sail across our bow. He's going straight to St Helena, whereas we're going up to Namibia, and then we'll go to St Helena after that.
It's a way of life among cruising sailors that we make friends easily. Yet we often see those new friendships separated by thousands of miles as we choose different paths on our voyages around the world. But we never say goodbye, it's always see you later, because there's a good chance that someday in the future our paths will converge once more. You ready? Yeah, born away. Ready?
So sun's just about to dip below the horizon. It's been a really nice sail today. Breeze has picked up as was forecast as the day's gone on, so we've switched from spinnaker to white sails, and now we've just for the night we've put 2 reefs in the mainsail and reef the Genoa as well, because the breeze is picking up and we want it to be nice and steady so we can sleep through the night. And we've also put out the pole so that we're thinking that, looking at the forecast, we're going to have to run almost dead downwind later on in the night, and instead of having to wake the other person up to put the pole out on the foredeck in the dark, we just put it up now so it's all ready. If that happens in the night, the person on watch can just flick the Genoa over to on the pole on the other side without having to wake anybody else up.
When we were looking at the weather forecast yesterday, it looked like we were going to get about 3.5 metre seas, which is quite uncomfortable, especially with a short period between them. So I prepared loads of food to make our lives easier, but I'm kind of glad that I have, because now we just get a nice enjoyable evening rather than having to rush and cook some dinner. So I'm just reheating some chicken, potatoes and vegetables, so we've got a nice hearty warming dinner. Even with a non-slip mat, there's still a chance the bowls will go flying.
Thank you very much. Waves getting a little bit bigger, starting to roll a little bit more, starting to remember what this ocean sailing is all about. second day of our voyage up to Namibia. It got pretty breezy in the night. We knew it was going to get fairly windy, but actually picked up to over 30 knots. And we'd already put 2 reefs in the mainsail before the night as a precaution, but it got so windy we ended up taking the whole mainsail down. And we now got a staysail up, and at that point we had a staysail and just a really small amount of genoa just to balance it, so we got the 2 balanced so that the wind vane self-steering could easily steer Florence, and we were doing 10 knot surfs down the waves, which was a little bit quick, but we had a full moon, so we could see everything that was going on, so it's fine. So we've been making rapid progress, and today the breeze has eased off, the sea state has eased off. We've got this tent up, so it's good to test the tent. I was sat here really cold last night, and I thought, well, we've got this tent when I was on watch, so put this up, and I was really lucky that I did, because we don't often get waves breaking into the cockpit on Florence, but we did. About half an hour after I put this up, we had a massive wave that came and broke over the back of the boat and over the whole of this, and it stopped it going down my neck. Still got a lot of water through here, but importantly it stopped the water going down the hatch, so that could have been quite annoying. I mean, Amy still got a little bit splashed on her pillow down the bottom, but it could have been an entire wave if we hadn't had this up, so it's good. It's working well so far. It's supposed to be about this wind for most of the day and then drop off tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be very light wind, so we're trying to make as much progress as we can whilst we've got wind today. Doing about 6 knots at the moment, which is good. Really busy with loads of commercial shipping and fishing boats up this stretch of coast, but with our new Em-Trak AIS transponder with the splitter, so we're using the VHF aerial at the top of the mast, we can see so much further than we could before, and that means we can see all the commercial ships, which are these triangles, and our friends on Somriza, which are just over here, when they're so much further off, so it's much easier to work out where the ships are going to pass, and then we can take avoiding action to make sure we stay well out of the way early, because we can see them, actually I can see some 300 miles off, I'm not sure how that's happening, but we can see them a lot further off than we used to be able to, so it's making life a lot easier. This is what we go offshore sailing for. Absolute champagne sailing. Sea state's eased off, sun's come out, breeze has picked up, so we're on a reach which is like the fastest point of sail. Oh, what's not to like? So much nicer than the last couple of days where we've just been so cold. We've been wearing like 6 layers of clothing. I've still got thermals on, but I've got all the layers on top of them taken off. So just looking on the chart, we just crossed the border between South Africa and Namibia as it extends out to sea. So we're now in Namibian waters. Still got a way to go though, 190 miles to go.
So as forecast, the wind's disappeared. After all that beautiful sailing, it just went really light, so we put the spinnaker up, but we're now struggling to keep the spinnaker filled, and we can't exactly go in the way we want to go. But we're over the border into Namibia, and it looks like, I think it's a fog bank on the horizon, or closer than the horizon. It's one of the things that is famous for Namibian waters is the fog. So I guess it's an experience. I'm having to steer by hand because it's so shifty at the moment. Having to change course by 20 or 30 degrees every couple of minutes just to keep the spinnaker filling.
Unfortunately, the next day, the forecast for no wind proved to be correct. However, these flat, calm conditions only made the sunrise over the dunes of Namibia even more spectacular as we motored slowly north. Hello! In case you were wondering, I am still alive. Matt has not thrown me overboard. I'm afraid I've just been feeling too unwell over the last few days to have the energy really to pick up the camera. I've been managing to get through my night watches and cooking and general living on board, but that's pretty much it. Just been whacked and had no energy after that, so feeling much better now. I feel like a different person. I think it's a combination of seasickness and potentially not having got over a bug that I had before we set off as well as I thought I had, but yeah, whatever it was, I'm feeling human again, so it's nice to be back.
Well, it's very different this morning. Unfortunately, the wind completely shut off about 1:30 this morning. We've had to motor ever since, and the forecast shows that there's not going to be any wind until later on this afternoon, so there's going to be a lot of motoring. But it's beautiful. It's really easy to sleep. I just slept so well and woken up and I can see the dunes in the distance on the shore of Namibia. Absolutely beautiful.
But you can't actually get very close to this coastline because there's lots of shifting sandbars, so you're supposed to stay about 6 miles out, and even if that wasn't the case, the whole area up to Luderitz is restricted. I believe it's a mining area for diamonds, so we wouldn't be allowed to go ashore even if we could get closer in. But Luderitz is the first sheltered place for us to get into anyway. It's the first real bay along this coastline, so it's going to be really interesting to see what it's like. Very different from the Cape Town that we just left, that's for sure. Fishing line just went off. And there's definitely something on it. Not quite sure what at the moment. I reckon it's a dorado, is it? Oh no, it's not. It's like a kingfish or something. It's quite small.
There we go. I think that might be a kingfish.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're supposed to, well, they are really good eating because we've had a couple of those when we were in South Africa. Thanks, Craig, for the fishing gear. First fish.
How long was the line out? Like 1 hour, I think.
Yeah, out for an hour. It was a bit too rough to fish to start with the first couple of days. We had some meals already prepared, Amy had already made. It was so rough we wouldn't want to deal with the fish once we got it on board, but nice and calm today, so we put the line out and this will be great for dinner. So I think I said this was called a kingfish earlier, but I think in South Africa they call it a yellowtail. I think it's similar to what they call a kingfish in New Zealand. Either way, I think it's going to be tasty.
As you can hear, it's gone very light and the sails are just slapping back and forth. But there's not really much of a hurry to go any further. We're still going to arrive in Lüderitz in the dark if we go any faster than we are at the moment. So we're just going to drift along this coastline, admire the view and enjoy the sunshine.
Lovely day on the water today. Amy's cooking that fish for dinner. Unfortunately we've got the motor on again now because there's absolutely no wind whatsoever and we're trying to position ourselves so that we're a little bit closer to Lüderitz, so if some wind does come in the night we can take advantage of that a little bit further up. But other than that we're going to arrive tomorrow morning. I think we're going to have to do a lot of motoring to get there. Thankfully it's only 60 miles away now, which would be 12 hours under the engine. Or a little bit longer if we get some breeze and can sail for a bit. I come up onto the bow because with the engine on it's a bit noisy in the cockpit, and on a beautiful night like this it's just beautiful to come and sit up on the bow, enjoy the view and our al fresco dinner.
Yeah, it's like a picnic on the foredeck.
Yeah.
I just cooked it really simply with some butter, some lemon and some salt and pepper, so it's so fresh, it should taste really good. It's good. Really good. Even with no wind like this, it's still too rolly to eat off a plate. It's definitely bowls all the way on a monohull.
Everything would slide off the plate.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I'm going to eat mine now.
Despite the lack of wind, it felt amazing to be going into our night watches, knowing that the next morning we would be arriving into a new country with a natural environment unlike any that we had ever sailed Florence into. Don't forget to subscribe to catch the next episode. We release a video every 2 weeks.
If you'd like to find out more about behind the scenes on Florence, track our progress across the oceans in real time, find out where we are right now, or ask us pretty much anything, then please head over to our Patreon site and join the crew.
We'd like to thank everyone who supports us to make these videos possible, and a special thank you to our star patrons.